갈기 물어 뜯어라.
조직 폭력배의 힘, 청부살인업자의 기술, 천재 사이코패스의 지능. 이 셋만 잘 버무리면 이 세상에 못 잡을 놈이 없어. 나쁜 놈 잡는 나쁜 녀석들.
Alright, good evening. Welcome back to Chop-Socky Cinema, which I would say it's on your daily dose of water, but we're around in the hurricane area, so we already got enough water, believe you me.
More. You, us, Florida, especially Texas.
Anyway, I'm Josh.
William.
Roger.
And we're doing something a little bit different this month. We're actually going to watch the entire first season of a Netflix exclusive K-drama. I know that sounds really weird, but actually not what it's originally a 2014 series called Bad Guys that Netflix brought the rights to, and actually one of our favorite actors from Train to Busan,
Big Man.
Don Lee, also known as Big Man, plays one of the main characters in this, and he's pretty awesome. As far as synopsis, not rocket science. A maverick ex-cop gets asked to track down a serial killer whom killed the son of, I'm guessing, a commissioner?
Yeah,
or
like
The chief of police.
of the chief of police, and he decides to recruit. He says you need beasts to catch a beast, so he recruits 3 quote-unquote mad dogs: a hitman, a serial killer, and a gang leader.
All right.
Pretty much. It's like the Korean version of Breakout Kings, but better.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I mean, it's one thing about this is that it is very much, at least in my opinion, it's very much a procedural show.
Yeah. Definitely by the second episode, it definitely becomes a procedural show.
Yeah.
But you also get a little insight on how each one of them thinks about the crime.
Yeah. Because they're not really a team yet. They're all working independently. Because whoever actually tags the criminal gets the reward. They don't all get it as a group, as in other shows.
Yeah, basically, as incentive, whomever is most instrumental in catching the serial killer gets the most time taken off of their sentence.
Yep. 5 years off their upwards of 30-year sentences, give or take.
Actually, I don't know what South Korea considers a life sentence. I actually have to look that up.
Most of them had like 28 years or 30 years.
Well, no, because life in the U.S. prisons justice system is 25 years.
No.
It's like 25 to 30 years.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like 25 for life. That kind of thing.
But
Life plus 1 day and you never get out.
and then really, like, they have they kind of psych you out a little bit in the first 5 minutes. They have this younger cop, and where he's talking to the viewer and makes me think that he's the main character of this series, and then
It's like a documentary style thing they're doing at the forefront.
Because it's him and the cameraman. Kind of like on Cops, where the poor cameraman has to run after the cops. And poor guy.
and then but I mean then
3 CCD cameras are heavy.
then shortly after the beginning, you get to meet our actual hero, whom
Okay, so not to throw off point or anything, but am I the only person that noticed that it seemed like the cops were more out of shape than the cameramen carrying the characters?
Yeah.
Carrying
Yeah.
The camera and cops?
Yeah.
Just saying.
it seemed like the cameraman was actually having to
Run
was
after the
actually
bad guy.
Run slower.
yeah, he was actually trying to slow himself down to
Yeah.
to give the illusion that he was barely keeping up with the cop.
I'm sorry.
That's what cameramen are. They're out of work actors.
Actually, that's a recurring theme.
Track of feelings.
There's a recurring theme of this of characters that are not in peak physical conditioning for foot chases.
Yeah.
Like Don Lee's character is.
He is a huffing and puffing.
He constantly, like, when they're having a foot chase, he's usually the one, like, he's like, oh, my back, my neck.
I've got anemia. I'm feeling pain.
I'm feeling pain.
I blame you for this cramp.
There's cramp in my butt cheek. I'm going down. Bud.
I mean, really, the thing is, the first 2 episodes are effectively the pilot of the series. I mean, I was kind of surprised that they were going to resolve the thing with the serial killer. But then there's a little thing at the end of the second episode where they don't exactly resolve it. They have that little that little stinger to show you that there is a
Always got to have a stinger.
that they might have need of the Mad Dogs at some point in the future.
Because if not, we don't have a TV show. So
Yeah.
It's over.
Other than that, they would have just done a movie, which
Yeah.
I don't know if this would have worked out as well as a movie. They would have probably had to put more action in it for
Yeah.
a movie.
Mhm.
There's been like it seemed like the main B plot of the movie would have been the actual overall overall catching of the actual serial killer
Mhm.
up to a certain point, and then that would become the A plot.
And then the whole driving force of the main character is he's an ex-cop that I think he's going to get his job back or something along those lines. Or
Yeah, well,
he
they
was shamed and he
yeah,
just wants to get his kind of job back and his prestige.
And the thing is that even though you assume it's just for the fact that he was such a mad dog and he just beat up and brutalized and humiliated criminals, but then they also kind of allude that the female detective that's with him, where she actually thinks it's like, he lost his commission in 2012. The serial killer got arrested in 2012.
Well, everybody got arrested in
2000.
2012. Yep.
So they're alluding that there's some kind of incident that connects all four of the characters.
All didn't seem surprised when they saw him, more or less. They seemed to know him from somewhere else. So maybe.
Because I think they didn't know each other.
No.
Well, actually, I think.
No, because
because the serial killer and the hitman knew each other from prison.
They were in
Yeah,
the same prison
nobody
at the
else-
same time.
yeah.
but
nobody else
the gang leader, no, he had no idea.
Yeah.
And like that.
But then again, he's probably not the one type to pay attention to that sort of thing.
Well, I like that. Then that she asked, because like the detective asks Mad Dog, like, why do you want these three? And he's like, I want his power, I want his technique, and I want his brain. Other things I liked about it were, I said, even there wasn't as much, but the action sequence in it were really well choreographed.
Mhm.
And I really like how you definitely saw like the difference in styles between the hitman and the gang leader.
Mm-hmm.
Where
We
they-
haven't even seen the serial killer get in a fight yet.
You
More or less.
sort of did at the end of the first
Sorta,
episode
kinda.
when he broke a toilet. He broke a toilet lid over a dude's head.
Yeah.
and then you get the real account of what happened.
Supposedly.
Yeah, and then I love that he's like, "Was your head made out of diamond balls?"
I like the way they showed like everyone like the different techniques, or at least for the hitman and the serial killer,
Just-
for Jung Si Moon and
Tai Sai Wu.
Tae-sung Woo.
Taeso is the
Tae-sung Woo.
hitman.
It was the hitman, and just for the simple fact that like one of the things Roger pointed out was he was sitting there going through the knives and looking at the pictures because he was trying to figure out
What
which
blade did the deed?
what blade like cut him,
Mhm.
and then I'm sorry, I kind of like Mon, Jung So Mon.
hmm
He to me was like the guy that if he hadn't become basically a serial killer, he would have made a great detective because he was going through the crime scene and he was just going to each one and just examining everything that went on,
Yeah.
and everything that happened. And he's the one that came up with
You
Interesting.
can look at it objectively because he doesn't actually. have the
Interestingly
emotion.
enough, even though he tested as a psychopath, like he got 38 out of 40 possible points in a test in a psychological profile, but there's a moment in the first episode where he genuinely expresses that he didn't kill anybody.
Or he doesn't remember it anyway,
At least, yeah.
which could lead to something deeper. We don't know.
Yeah.
But his IQ is 165, so he's like the think tank of the group.
It's also neat. You definitely get to see the investigative processes of all three of the Mad Dogs,
Yeah.
where
Lee hires a street gang, takes over a local street gang to get them to work for him.
and by hire, basically he goes in and just badgers the fuck out of
Yeah, he bangs-
the leader.
He bangs faces up against walls, and then that'll usually get something spilling out. So.
And then and actually it also seems like the hitman is kind of he's generally the one that Mad Dog like takes with him on interviews because well he's a pretty dude.
He can
He's a
conduct,
very he's not hard, he's easy on the eyes, especially to female like victims.
he can conduct himself pretty well in public. He won't like start a fight or
As
punch
opposed
somebody in the face, as opposed to some of the other ones.
as opposed to Big Man, whom generally starts a fight anywhere he goes.
Oh yeah.
And that's interesting. They don't really take, like I said, the serial killer, they don't really take him out too much.
He kind of,
He's kind of more of like, commanding, he's kind of more like as their analyst.
Yeah.
strategist. Yeah.
I didn't really like something I really didn't like was the fact that the subtitles were cut off.
Yeah.
What seemed on like
the subtitles
key
were
parts,
cut off like
on
See,
key
yeah, that
parts.
was really my only, and that wasn't really as much as the quality of the series itself. That was more of an issue with Netflix.
Oh.
Yeah.
Because
Like
I
how
think,
they probably couldn't translate certain things.
yeah, I thought that was really odd that
Yeah.
that it was this is a Netflix exclusive, that they were the ones in charge of it, and that the subtitles are.
Cutting out on it. And actually important parts probably.
Well,
I
I think
would
it was
assume.
from what I could tell from body language,
Mhm.
it wasn't really important stuff. It was except for maybe a few lines.
Yeah, some of them
Some
were
of them seemed like they were more like throwaway lines.
some of them were end of
when they're
conversation,
in
so
the-
it might have been a stinger or something.
like when they were in the church
Mhm.
and she sees him drinking. It's like she probably said something along the lines of like, "Really, really
Yeah.
drinking already," or something like that.
Yeah.
Or like it's 9 a.m. in the morning. What are you doing? Or something along those lines. Because the main character is like a functional alcoholic. He's like downing vodka like there's nobody business.
We referred to him as the as Detective Drunk Uncle.
Yeah. He gives them the drunk uncle love when they need correcting.
Yeah, and at the end of episode 2, he gets punched in the face by 2 of the 3.
Choked by
mad.
one, but punched in the face by the other.
And they have their reasons. I mean,
Yes, they
without
do
going
have
into
their
too much, especially that the gang leader was chastised for roughing up an innocent person, and but the thing is basically is like his line of questioning was actually working.
Yes.
Yeah.
He was
And
in
they
the
stopped him.
he was in the ballpark of like pretty much what the guy was doing.
Yeah.
Which is why he punches the detective in the face at the end of the second episode.
Yeah.
But really, the one thing I mean, it was a little slow paced.
Some parts, yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't
I'm
have.
not going to disagree with that.
Yeah, but I mean, the thing is, I mean, that's a kind of a common trait of a lot of procedural crime, like cop and crime dramas, is they are a little bit slow paced.
They usually, yes, but they have that kind of perfect kind of slow pacing, so you get like character building at least.
Yeah. I wasn't a fan of the jump cuts and the fight scenes in the first episode, but they pulled that out a little bit in the second episode and had more long shots. Because, you can do a long shot if you have experienced people fighting experienced people. If you have somebody non-experienced fighting in a fight scene, you do jump cuts so you can't see everything, more or less.
But really, yeah, I don't know. That was like the subtitle issue and the pacing were really my only issues with it.
Yeah.
So what would we at least give like the review of like the first 2 episodes out of 5 Paper Cranes?
I'd give it a 4, and I don't think, the subtitles probably weren't the fault of the show, so I'd give it a pretty solid 4 cranes. I would watch more of this. I would probably watch the whole show, or the whole series, if I wasn't, supposed to for this.
Let's see. For the first 2, I'd give it about a 3.5. I liked it. I like it enough to watch the rest of it. Like I said, it was more just the pacing.
I want to see what
me.
happens. I think the character development was pretty good, and I want to see what's going on. There's a lot more secrets within this group that haven't come to light yet. So
I'll give it a 4.5. So my only real issue was the subtitles. I liked everything else about it. Of course, I like procedural dramas. So
I'd say this is one of the better ones I've seen, even compared to some of the American stuff I've seen.
And I'm actually kind of looking forward to the development of each character, because you get a little glimpse behind like Tay's character. In the second episode, you get a little bit of backstory about something that happened to him, and probably the reason why he turned himself in was because it was like somebody actually did something nice for him.
Yeah.
And you get to get a little bit more of his little feelings of like his little setup in the underworld and everything, because it introduces like a pawn shop broker, which I'm guessing is his connection. So,
kind of like his microchip to the Punisher.
And then I
definitely not.
And then I like, even though
your understanding of microchip is definitely not right.
But I mean, I did like about how the gang lead, where all you get is when when the detectives talk about why we need this guy. He's like, yeah, and 29 years ago when that gang basically took over all of Seoul, It's like, it was because of this guy.
Yep, they took over a district per day.
Yeah, and it was mainly because this guy was pretty much running them.
Yep. He's a forward thinker and very good management.
Yeah,
definitely leadership skills.
He excels at
people skills.
Oh,
Morality.
human
morale.
resources. He's very good at human resources.
Probably logistics if he took over one district a day.
Yeah.
Wow.
So what are we looking forward to, like, in the rest of this season? I know for me, I kind of want to, like I said, I want to see more about the serial. Like, I want to see if actually he has another personality, if he legitimately blacks out when he kills people, or if he actually is legitimately innocent, which explains why they never found any of his any DNA of him, because he didn't do it.
It's possible, yeah. I'd love to see the backstory of more of the criminals. I'd like to see the backstory of the main character, the original Mad Dog, as it were. See what happened to put him to where he is now. And let's see the more kind of interplay between him and the younger girl, but detective that's in with the group. She doesn't really trust any of them at this point, and she knows there's something fishy between something, but she doesn't know what it is so far.
Especially when she went to go ask the
the
commissioner, he's like, leave it alone.
Yeah, he's like brushed her off.
Let him. He can handle himself. He's not a. I think the word he used was a boy who just had puberty.
Yeah.
He doesn't need help.
That was fine.
But all right, guys. Well, anyway.
What are you looking forward to, Wayne?
I already said it.
Oh, you already did?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
But anyways, guys, yeah, we'll and then pretty much for the entire month, we're going to check out 2 episodes at a clip, and then by the end of it, we'll give you a more complete review of the entire season as a whole. So tune in next time, and we'll continue Bad Guys. And also, just as always, check out all of our other ECS Network shows. Go to GoFundMe or cafepress.com/ECS Network to get some really cool ECS Network swag.
I think he's got a Patreon too.
Yep, they've actually got a few shirts based on our show on there too. We also have a Patreon account, so if you want to help us improve the quality of our videos, like lighting rigs,
Anything.
actual camera. That would be
Not a cell phone. Wait, spoilers.
But anyways, thanks for tuning in. I'm Josh,
I'm William.
Roger.
and we'll catch you at the Chop-Socky house.